Are we recording?
I think so.
Well, that means it's another time for CTC's weekly video series. Today we are back and we are talking about what?
Well, today we're going to talk about kind of training for the heavier athlete, or what we're going to talk about is if you lost a little bit of weight, what would that do for you? You know, what benefits do they have? Brandon Bistor asked a question about this, so we kind of wanted to discuss it back and forth, maybe share a couple personal stories from me as I was a heavier athlete at one point.
From just you?
Just for me. Aaron's always been skinny and fast. Anyway, so we're going to start talking about the running aspect. So, Aaron?
And there was a study done by the American College of Sports Medicine, or ACSM, that found out that a 5% reduction in body weight improved the 3K run by 3.1%. And for a 10% reduction in weight loss, it improved that 3K by 5.2%.
Now,
so what does that mean?
So 10% that's a big chunk of your body weight. So there are very few people that I'm sure are watching this that really need to lose 10%. That's a lot. The healthy, as far as total body fat percentage, for men would be between 6 and 14%, and for women it's 14 to 20, and those are the ideal racing weights essentially for athletes.
And especially as you get down to the lower number, around that 6 for men and 14 for women, you're not carrying a whole lot of additional. I mean, you're not carrying a whole lot of fat at all. So
yeah,
you also are losing a little bit of energy that you might be able to be used as sources of energy. So that might also be something that you want to keep in mind as well.
Absolutely. And I want to make a little bit of a point here. So BMI is what a lot of physicians and kind of the medical field uses as a determination of, are you overweight, are you underweight? It's not a really great determination. The best way to do it is actually to get a total body fat percentage. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, and we can go down that in a future video. But that is a better way to determine if you actually have 10% or 5% of your body weight to lose. So don't everybody jump in and say that everybody needs to lose weight, because you guys probably don't. But if you are above that 14%, which I am, Aaron's not, then you might have at least 5% of body weight to lose, and that's kind of what it will do for you in the run. So if we move on to the bike, this actually gets pretty interesting if we talk about this, and I've got a great personal story to share, which just upset me beyond belief when I'm riding with this guy.
And we do have a nerd alert, because there is going to be quite a bit of mathematics involved in this process. So if you have to rewind it and watch this video more than once, by all means do what you need to. But nerd alert, there is some mathematics and science behind this part that we're coming up on the bike.
Oh, actually, if you're a nerd like me, Aaron, I mean, every guy needs an emergency bow tie. So I think that was Sean that wanted that. So
Sean, this is what I have to say about that.
All right, never mind. Moving on. All right, so if we want to talk about cycling, so let's just take this really simple. We're going to take an average weight. We're going to say 180 pounds. And this is just to keep our numbers really consistent. Obviously, it'd be less if females potentially would weigh less than this, and males might weigh a little bit more than this. We're just going to take 180 as an average. So going up a 3% incline for 6 miles at about 200 watts, which is relatively good if you're climbing. It would net you about 11.4, 11.5 miles an hour. Of speed going up that 3% incline. Let's say you took 5 pounds off your body weight for that. All of a sudden we're doing 11.6 and a half miles an hour. So that 6 mile climb is now saving you about 30 seconds, which is significant with a 5 pound weight reduction going from 180 to 175. Okay, let's turn that up just a little bit more. Let's say it's a very intense climb, 10% gradient for 2 miles. That 5 pound weight loss is going to take you from 4.5 miles an hour all the way to 4.63, and it's going to save you 38 seconds.
And that's over a very
2
small,
miles.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very short climb. So, so you can see that. I mean, a very small reduction. So 5 pounds is not a ton of weight for a 180 pounder. Now we didn't really extrapolate this to percentages, because it's really so individual per person. But let's change that again. Let's say I have 10 pounds to lose. So we're going to go 10 pounds, that exact same climb. So we're doing 6 miles at a 3% gradient. We're going to save almost an entire minute over 6 miles with 10 pounds lost. So that's pretty significant time difference. Once again, the same thing that we said before. If you do not have 10 pounds to lose, there is a tipping point is what we're going to call it. So at some point, you're going to go from weight loss and getting faster to, if you start dipping below those percentages of body fat, and you start really catabolizing and eating muscle and taking out muscle, you're going to start going the opposite direction. So there is that tipping point of more is not better, and that's always, that's the case here.
Well, and it's also about feeling good and
Absolutely.
comfortable with the process. It's not all about just losing weight, because sometimes that weight loss is either an energy system, it's a health system. There's a lot of things that kind of factor into that process. So sometimes losing small increments of weight is the best way to go about this. 1 to 2 pounds a week is ideal. And actually, it's probably closer to a half a pound to a 1 pound a week.
A healthy way to lose it.
And you're going to be able to really kind of determine through that staggered process of how do you feel. Always analyze yourself and how you feel in that process, because if it doesn't match up, if things don't feel right, we don't want to continue down that path, because it's gonna be detrimental to a lot of different systems in your body, and probably detrimental to your entire lifestyle. So doing this strategically, step by step, going through that process and self-analyzing through that situation to know, do I feel good? And then does that translate to other aspects of your life, whether it be running, whether it be cycling, and then if that feels good, moving to that next step and losing
Absolutely.
that other 0.5 to 1 pound, and just continuing down that process until you feel either comfortable with where you're at, or you start to notice some changes. And where you start to notice some changes is where you want to back off and maybe put a little bit of weight back on to get that normalcy.
Yeah, and obviously those ranges and those standards are very important. There's no reason that you need to be below 6% for males or below 14% for females. It's just not a healthy way to do anything. And you will not get faster at that point, if that makes any sense. So I do have one personal story to share about this. So Aaron and I were riding down on 177, and there's a little climb, and of course it's a Strava segment. And up the Strava segment, I set a PR for the day, and I was really happy. It took me, I think, 4 minutes and 55 seconds. And Aaron and I rode together, and I saw him on the segment. I clicked it. It took him 4 minutes and 11 seconds. I knew that he beat me up there. But then I saw this little fact. So at the time, I was about 210 pounds, and Aaron was
158.
158. Anyway, so at Aaron at 158 and me at 210 pounds, he beat me by 44 seconds. So, okay, I understand that. It makes sense. He's faster rider than I am. And then I looked at our average watt output. So my average watt output and it's a little less than a mile of a segment. So I figured 44 seconds over less than a mile, something's crazy. So my average watt output was 352 watts. Aaron's average watt output was 233. So watts per kilogram, he was 3.2 watts per kilogram, and I was 3.7. So I outperformed him on output, both in not just the regular amount of watts, but actually apples to apples, watts per kilogram. Yet he beat me by 44 seconds.
I'm starting to think, were we actually riding together?
No, we were not riding together. You were way ahead of me. Anyway, so that's just an example. And since then, I've probably dropped about 15 pounds. And I told Aaron today, I think it'd be kind of fun to go out there and try to hold the exact same amount of watts for me up that exact same climb, and just kind of see how it panned out and see how much faster I would go if I was a couple percent down as far as my body weight goes.
That's going to pay a big dividend, and especially in that particular ride, it was a 0.7 mile. So I mean, we're not even talking about a mile. 44 seconds in that time frame, and I mean, when you start extrapolating that over an entire event, where some of us are doing either a 20K, a 40K, 56 or 112, I mean, that becomes, and I understand that that is a little bit more on the hill aspect, but still, even on flats, there's going to be that separation of time. So when you start breaking that down over the course of an event, I mean, you're really talking about large sections of time. And really, I mean, if done healthy, it could be some way to kind of shave off some of that time on the back end of your overall goal time and allow you to PR possibly.
Yeah. So I hope that all came across and everybody understood the science aspect of it. We would be 100% glad to discuss all of that and kind of show how we got all of our facts and figures and everything along those lines.
Super detailed information, and the great thing about it is it's based on science. So these numbers aren't being made up. They're not just being pulled out of thin air. This is information that is science-based, so therefore we utilize the algorithm and we came up with those numbers based on specific entries, whether it be that 200 watts or whether it be the 6 miles at a 3% grade. All that information allowed us to implement that science to allow us to give these figures. We will be more than willing to share that website with you as well and help in any way that we possibly can.
Absolutely.
Also guiding you if losing weight is something that you are interested in doing. It's something that we can help guide you along that process and help you do it in a strategic and healthy manner as well. So that is something that if you're interested in, reach out.
Absolutely.
Again, we are starting to put these out on a regular basis, Drew. So I want to start to see those subscriptions start to increase a little bit, right?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, we want to, I mean, share them with your friends. We don't mind. This is not just for CTC. It's for, anybody that you think it could help.
And by subscribing, you get a notification.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to come chase us down. We chase you down. But seriously, if you enjoy the content, please throw us a thumbs up. Continue to ask questions in the group. We are really trying to lead this down something that's going to be helpful for one video might not be as helpful for you as another, but we're looking at trying to get this out so we can help as many people increase and better their performance. I mean, we're almost coming up on January, so we're all thinking about training, aren't we? So it's about time to start kicking things up, and hopefully these videos might provide you with a little bit of insight on this and allow you to meet some of those goals that you have coming up. So ask those questions, content, whatever it might be. Let's continue to keep that energy up and ask what you want. Other than that, CTC, go create some magic.
Yeah. Happy holidays. Have a great one.
Have a good one.